What's going on, people? Fam and Sam here from Lv1 Gaming.com. And thank you guys for rocking with us once again. We have something absolutely special for you guys today, a game I can't wait to dive into and talk more about. But first, per usual, get the introductions going. First up, the communications director at Lv1 Gaming.com, Baron J67. What's going on, brother?
You know what? It's early in the morning, but I'm excited. You know, we're talking about storms and rights and Stormrite. You put it together, and we just out here doing business. I'm ready to cast some magic. That's all this is. I'm here.
Next up, from Burnout Brighter, also the co-host of our newest show, Bonus Level. Des, what's going on, sis?
Hey, glad to be here too. It's early for me, but if I'm here, it was important to be here. So I don't get up for nobody. Just remember that.
Thank you so much. And last but definitely not least, our special guest of the evening, the man who took time out of his day, which he's on the other side of the pond, so it might be like later for him. It's early for us, as you might or may not see. Kelechi Apakama, what's going on, brother?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. I love talking about my game, so giving the opportunity to spread the word is brilliant. Thanks.
Speaking of your game,
love hearing about games.
Speaking of your game, you are the lead developer for Stormrite, which is the game that we're going to be talking about as in-depth as we can today. So before we get started, could you tell us what is Stormrite?
So Stormrite is an open world action RPG for PC and console. It's very story focused. I want to give a single player story focused experience. You know, there's no multiplayer, there's no plans of multiplayer. It's all just a fully contained immersive experience. And it's really inspired from my childhood of playing Skyrim. I put too many hours into that game, and like when I first started making games, I was just kind of like making a load of different things. But then my first big project was this one, and not completely unintentionally, I just started developing a game, and then after 2 weeks, I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of like Skyrim, and then you run with it. And then I posted some stuff online that kind of just took off from there.
Now, let me ask you this, because it's seemingly, I know you guys just put up the official Twitter handle for Stormrite, and
Yep.
After an original deleted tweet, I remember tweeting out, I was like, where did it go? And then it actually went up. How has the response been? Because it's seemingly you guys have gotten, rapid, success from people noticing or realizing your game over the last couple of weeks or so. How's that been, seeing people are actually noticing and seeing this game exist, and they're following, and people are all of a sudden, hey, I want to review this game. Like, how does that feel to see people, really getting interested in the game that you're making?
It really is amazing, like, because I've been posting about Stormrite for like a very long time. So I started developing in 2020, January 2020. I've basically been posting on Twitter since then, and it's been getting little traction here and there, but nothing major. So I was thinking, oh, what's going on? What's going wrong? I was thinking maybe it's because we don't have an account, maybe it's because of the way I'm tweeting or whatever. But then I read an article, and there was a kind of tweeting technique kind of thing that I read. Shout out Indie Game Joe, the Hypercharge. I think he's the marketing director for them. And he kind of shared this Twitter technique, which just helps get eyes on your game. Because I was confident that if I got the eyes on the game, people would be interested, because I was confident in how it looks and how it feels, or how it looks that it feels. But I just wasn't able to get the eyes on the game. But now I'm able to get the eyes on the game. The reception's been great. The Discord's getting active. Even TikTok's blowing up now. It's kind of all just going really well. Yeah.
That definitely has to feel good. It has to feel like, yeah, like this. That's awesome, because even in what we do, like when you see things begin to grow, I'm like, oh, okay, now the hard work that I've been putting into, like, people are actually seeing it. So that, I mean, because when I started, I was instantly like, yeah, I need this game. Like it was
immediately
instant.
No, you don't understand. So me being the communications director, I get a lot of random messages like, hey, reach out to these folks. Hey, check these people out. And it was an immediate, I think your tweet had just went out, and then I got a text message with a link to the tweet. And then I know you got a message from me, and I jumped in it just was rapid. Because as soon as I seen it, I was like, oh, this Stormrite, this is it. Like this is what I'm looking for. But,
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, like, I guess I hadn't heard anything about your game, but that's not because you haven't been doing the right techniques or whatever. It's just because, like, I'm blind to that kind of stuff. So whenever I hear about a game, it's usually through, like, my level 1 game fam or through Matt. And so, you're so dumb. And so, like, they came on and they were talking about this game and they wanted me to jump in on the interview. And, like, we watched the video together. Like, we had a meeting and it looks amazing. For it to be a 4-person team, I was like, this looks AAA. Like, I could not believe that. Easily, just the graphics, like everything that you've put into it, you can tell it's like a work of love. And I've never played Skyrim, so I'm going to compare it to the game that came to mind when I saw it, especially because you're doing single player and not multiplayer. I immediately thought of The Witcher. Like, being put in that time frame, like the magic that you use going up against these enemies and just kind of the overall look. And I love The Witcher. So that is like high praise coming from me. I love it so much. And you know, that developing team took forever to get that out. So for you guys to be doing this and have it looking that great with just 4 people, like, kudos to you. That's incredible. Like, that's really, like, I don't even know how you started. You're like, we started in 2020 and it looks this good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It looks this good. Like, this has only been 2 years.
Well, to be
Derek brought
fair,
up an interesting point. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh no, sorry. I was just saying it's a lot easier these days for an indie team to put something out at that scale. Because like if you like you see a lot of people compare just pretty much any open world RPG these days that comes out that's indie. It's like, oh, this kind of looks like Skyrim. This looks like Skyrim. Oh, this looks so much better than Skyrim. You've got to think about like Skyrim was released in what was it 2011 or so?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back then they were using their own engine as well. The tools weren't available. Like I'm sure the Elder Scrolls 6 will look incredible because of the modern tools and technology they have now. So it's a lot easier for indies to get to that kind of level of quality, and especially in a short amount of time with a small team as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I work for an indie game publisher, and so like a lot of our games that come through, and this is no hate on like the developers, but they're usually doing pixel style. So a lot of games that I see that are indie are like pixel style or like very simple graphics. So when you say it's easy, I'm like, I don't know, bro. Maybe easy for you, but yeah.
No, and even just in watching your vlog videos and seeing the progression of archery, like that was something I remember when you were there was a vlog video and you were showing just the archery skill and abilities, and it was like bullets, like the arrows were shooting like lasers. And then to see, I want to say the next video went up, I don't know the exact date, you could see the drop, you could see the gravity affecting the arrow, and then to zoom it in, like, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, this is a 4-man team. Like, this is like this within 2 years. Like, what do you, so what's in the water over there?
Well, how do you say over there? Because actually, it's just we're not contained in one place at all. We're a completely global team. So I'm in the UK. We've got a team member in Australia, one in New Zealand, another in Australia, and one in the US. So we're just a global. we're just a really global team. We communicate solely through Discord. We have meetings occasionally, but arranging a meeting that fits all our time zones is impossible.
Okay. You're like, it's easy for indie game teams to get to this point. You guys are all over the world. You only talk through Discord. That is a feat. You have people out here not creating games, and it's hard enough to, you know how hard it was for me to get up and for him to get up just to come on here and talk today? And you're over here creating games with people all over the world. That's incredible.
4 people. Like, is there any plans to expand the team? I feel like we're talking about development. We haven't even got into like the core of Stormrite. Like, I'm sorry, my bad.
No, that's all good. The team's kind of, so we've got at the moment we've got 4/5 permanent team members. And we kind of have contractors that we hire out to do certain things. We've got a concept artist that we hire for some work. We've got composers that we hire for some work, an animator. So just various people, but they're not, I'd say, permanent team members, but the ones that are the core team members, there's 5 of us. But yeah, we're always looking to expand and contract and hire out and just get more people on board, really. Where
There
we
you
can.
go.
So I want to dive a little bit into Stormrite and the game itself. For anyone who's watched and I'll have different type of B-roll and footage going up as we're doing this interview. So for those who are just getting interested in seeing the game, they're seeing a multitude of different abilities, whether it's sword fighting, archery, or the actual magical abilities of this game. Could you kind of go in depth with how the making of the game and giving the players so many different ways to go about the combat in this open world? Is there a particular progression system to where you start off with just sword and shield, archery, magic? How's the progression with this title as far as what the players will be able to do from the onset?
So the core concept and the core philosophy the whole time has been left hand, right hand, let the player do whatever they want, kind of thing. So all on the right, magic in the left, whatever. Like, to some extent, obviously 2 shields, we're not going to allow that because that's kind of stupid. I know some games allow that, but it's just a lot of extra work. So that's the core philosophy. We want to put just weapons and spells and stuff in the game, let the player pick what they want to use, let them progress how they want to progress, and ultimately create their own gameplay, because that will lead from the replayability. You complete the whole game as a warrior, you're like, okay, let me do the whole thing as an archer, let me do the whole thing as a mage, let me do the whole thing as a combat mage, kind of thing. So you just got endless replayability if you let the player have freedom with their equipment. So in the start of the game, this isn't really a spoiler. In the start of the game, it's just you're a squire. You're a squire. You're learning the ropes, and you're essentially going to start on your journey as the game begins. So you go to training. You get a simple sword, a simple bow, and then after that, you get introduced to the different aspects of the game. You get a special. You get taught how to use the bow properly. You then learn how magic works in the world, what the philosophy of magic is. I mean, I can go into that later because that's actually quite deep, but I'll talk about that later. It's just basically at the start you get some simple stuff, and then you have free reign to do what you want with what you find.
So it's not necessarily you have to pick a style. You can after the initial startup phase, you can go back and forth between sword and shield, arrow, and magic. Like, the player really has control over how they want to play the game.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're kind of limited by the skills that you choose as you progress.
Yes,
but you can still choose whatever you want at the end of the day.
And piggybacking off of that, so are we looking at a skill tree system? Is it going to be a point perk system where it's limited, or is it going to be one of those things where I can be a level 1000 maxed out in every skill?
There will be a limit of some sort,
okay,
because then the game will get really easy at the end. But yeah, you pick skills and you pick skill upgrades at the same time, just through a skill tree. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
That can render a lot of replayability, because if you're limited to what you can do, because there are some people that are going to put 1,000 hours in and say, hey, look, I'm max level, I have every single thing in the game. But if there's a limit, it does more replayability, because now you want to go back and, hey, I want to fully max out, being a mage, like you were saying. I want to fully max out bow and arrow, sword and shield. So I love that concept, because a lot of games, in the grand scheme of it all, you really end up, if you put the time in it, don't get me wrong, you gotta put the time in it, but you end up just maxing out everything. Now you're like, okay, what do I want to do? There's nothing new. There's no new elements to this. I can't play it again and get a different experience because of the path I chose. That makes sense.
Yeah, no.
I wanted to know. I had a personal question, and I'm just gonna skip to it. So, like, when we were watching the video, I saw that you do have character creation, because some of the people look different. But I didn't see any Afrocentric hair, and I was very confused. And I was like, is he gonna put that in there? Because we saw Bob's haircut, and then we saw Jilly's bun. So, yeah, okay. It's important. That's important to me. Yeah, when there's a game and I can create myself in it, I want to make it look as close to me as possible. So I was like, as a Black developer, and I've seen a lot of this happen. We have Black developers, and because they want their game to be so successful, they kind of step away from making a character, their main protagonist or their character, Afrocentric, which always like kind of breaks my heart. So that's what I was wondering, because I was like, I don't see any skin tones yet, but we saw skin tones. So then my next question was, are we going to see some hair? Because
no, we are. We've already got some actually. We've got a couple Afrocentric hairstyles in the game. In fact, I'll post a video to Twitter with one of them later.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you. You're looking for it.
Because it is like you said, it is very important. Like, it's something that I've always thought this is something we're definitely going to have no questions asked in the game. I remember I was playing Match Point Tennis on Game Pass, not to slate the game or anything, but I was in the character creator and there was not a single Afrocentric hairstyle. I had to be bold if I wanted to have some sort of Afrocentric hairstyle or just clean shaven buzz cut kind of thing. And that was just like a couple of weeks ago, so I was like, yeah, definitely 100% this needs to be done now.
Okay. Good. I didn't want to like do a petition, have another Animal Crossing incident. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
It's all good. It's all good.
And speak, once again, running with the character creation, because clearly that's going to be a thing that's within the game. How expansive are we talking? Is it going to be like top to bottom? What's the initial plans with the character creation?
So the first thing is like in Skyrim when you've got different races or characters and stuff. That's not something we're gonna have in Stormrite, mainly because the player character, your backstory isn't like fully set or anything. There's not really too much of your backstory that's really relevant, but there's certain aspects of it, and not to go too deep into it before the story, but it requires you being not one of the for example, we just released the law of the skill race in the north. It's kind of like the Viking race. Like, for example, you can't be one of them with our backstory and with the lore of the story of the game. But as far as how your character looks can go, we've got plenty of options. We're doing it on like a face switching basis. We'll have like maybe 40 different faces you can switch between. Nice. Then you can choose your hairstyle, your beard, and then some body modifications as well, like bigger arms, bigger legs, stuff like that, taller character, whatever. And yeah, that's the character creation.
Are you gonna like? This is I don't know. You might feel a little embarrassed about this, but are you gonna like do like breast size and like butt size for women, or like are we just doing legs and tall? I'm curious because I play a lot of MMOs and that is part of the thing. So I'm not trying to be funny. I'm serious.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's really because I've been experimenting with how flexible our character customization can be, and it seems like it's something we could do, but like some of the clothing warps strangely when we do stuff like that. So if it can be done, we would, but it just depends on how easy it is to do it.
Okay, all right.
They're a 4-man team, Des. Four-man team.
Listen,
no,
we gonna keep saying 4-man team, but I'm gonna still think y'all are AAA. So I don't.
No, serious. The presentation, man. Yeah. Like, you guys are presenting a very huge world, and I mean, I'm going completely off script, but even just the biomes and like it
looks beautiful.
Y'all, yeah, this seriously.
Thank you.
I want to switch from breast size to dragons, because we from breast to dragons. That's the thing now, right?
That's the thing now.
Breast to dragons.
Sounds like a good shirt.
Yeah. Not. So as soon as we saw the dragon scene, right? When he's the character's walking towards the dragon, and that is such a epic scene. Shout out to whoever cut that out and put that up in the dry, because that's absolutely amazing, right? How important for a game like this are dragons going to be in this world? Because all of us love dragons. We can't get enough dragons. More dragons, the better, right? So when I see in that scene, we all got instantly captivated by that moment, right? How important or how much are we going to get as far as dragons go in this game?
So right off the bat, obviously dragons aren't going to be as important as they are in Skyrim, because they are literally the center of the story in Skyrim. But yeah, I mean, there's that dragon there is our winter wyvern, so you'll be able to find them in the snow areas of the map, and then there's a kind of bigger one that's kind of like a boss or whatever. But it's kind of just another enemy. It fits with the lore, but it's not really too important in the lore.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to suggest if you can make dragons pets, you know, if you just have some extra time and you're not like super busy, like we would all love a little dragon pet. Just, you know.
Stormrite.
Oh, okay.
There we go. And that was the next thing I was going to, because Stormrite does have companions. Could you tell us a little bit about the companions in this game?
So the companions are actually quite interesting. So you'll be able to recruit. So if we talk about human companions first, you'll be able to recruit human companions essentially any like major city, major town, military barracks or whatever. They'll just be there. You've got like a selection of them. You can get like an archer. You can get a soldier, and then in certain places you get a mage companion as well. And then they essentially start off bare bones, limited skills. You give them equipment, but they have some at the start as well. And then as you level, they level. So they get better as you get better. But once they die, they're dead. So you've got to kind of protect them to make sure they're not dying. So if you invest a lot of time into, you know, you leveling up with a companion and they die, you're like, oh, well, what do I do now? Kind of thing. So you've got to think about that when you're in battle. Yeah.
Like, dang, Billy Bob. You wanted it from the beginning.
That's tough.
Okay. So I have to ask, because as somebody who plays a lot of permadeath games, is there going to be a way to save very actively and freely within Stormrite?
Yeah, so it's kind of like a Skyrim save system. You just pause and save whenever you want. Because I feel like that just makes the game nicer, more palatable.
Thank you. I'm one of those people where you will see like 16 different save slots, and they're all just as important. Just in case I'm like, oh, that key moment that I felt was going to happen, I didn't like how it played out. Like, I save scum. There you go.
I do the
that's
same
what it is,
thing.
folks. Like, yeah,
No,
I save scum. I don't have the extreme free time like I used to. I save scum.
No,
but yeah, I'm glad. I'm grateful that. Thank you.
No, I get attached to my characters.
Oh, you would have multiple companions? Or just one companion at a time?
Just one. We might allow you to have a human and animal companion at the same time.
Wow. Okay, that's even more deep if it's just one character. I cried when the pig died in Minecraft Your Story. Ugh, I'm gonna have to save a lot.
Spoiler alert.
No. That's not a spoiler. It's not a spoiler. That's been out forever. Listen, because you go through, shut up. Listen. You go through and you have to make choices, right? And then at some point, the pig sacrifices himself. And I cried. Okay, I cried because I was like, did I do something? Did I make a mistake? And you can't go back. So I need to have lots of saves. Like right before I'm into a big battle, I need to be like, all right, Billy Bob, we got this. Like, I got you. But my question is like, I know you can heal yourself. Are you able to heal your companion if he's like super low, or like, how does that work?
Yeah, so we'll have targeted healing spells that would, I mean, they're not really going to be part of a normal loadout because some people might not even play with companions. But yeah, you have like a special skill tree that is dedicated to skills that can help like a team play with your companions or with your animal companions.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make mine a romance story. I'm excited.
Who would be surprised? No,
right?
No one.
Oh, so, Mary Sue and Billy Bob.
I do want to ask about because when I get my hands on this game, right, I'm going full mage. Mage is that's just who I am, right? So I do want to ask you about some of the abilities. I can't pronounce these, right? But I do want to talk about the creation of some of these abilities. Rite of Control, Rite of Time, Rite of Flame. I'm all about the flame. Level 1, the Phoenix of Fire. I'm all about that flame, right? We got Rite of Death, Rite of Earth, Rite of Wind. So I want to ask you, which one is your favorite ability, and how you guys came about these abilities?
Well, me myself, when I play games, I like fire abilities, so probably
my
favorite one. But yeah, like those are interesting because they're kind of late game stuff. So the Stormrites are essentially powerful scrolls slash I guess key is the right word to unlock special powers. And when combined, when all the Stormrites are combined, something special happens. Not spoiler.
Okay.
So it's kind of like late game stuff. You'll be introduced to them later in the game, and then you'll be able to interact with them and maybe use their powers later on. But yeah, it's just that is another way of specializing. Of course, it's kind of a double-edged sword, because if you're for example, an archer or a melee character, then you might not be able to experience the full experience. But that, like, kind of our game is magic focused and magic centered. Like, our whole USP, our whole identity of Stormrite is the magic behind it, the Stormrites. And just to quickly go over how magic works in the world, no human character has magical powers at all. They're all normal humans. The way that anyone casts spells or has any sort of power is by using focus crystals. Yeah, so each focus crystal will have spells bound to it, and when you have a certain crystal, you can only use the spells of that crystal. You've got to find a crystal, you can loot it off someone, you can create your own crystals and put your own spells on there if you want to. So it's kind of like a customization sort of element to it, and that is essentially how all the magical power works in the game.
I had a question. So you can only use one crystal at a time?
Yeah.
Okay. So like if you're going with fire, that's all you can use, even if you have like wind in your inventory. You'd have to switch it out, like switch out the crystal.
So the crystals aren't bound to certain elements or types of spells, but you'll find a crystal and it will probably have like 3 or 4 fire spells on it. Maybe a water spell on it. You can switch them out if you have a high enough or rune craftery level.
Okay.
You can
all right.
edit crystals as well and add
slots. So the focus crystals work as a loadout of magic within itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it.
So that's one in particular, and I'm going to butcher this. It's Corpulus. It's the Rite of Death. That one caught my eye, and I want to ask you, because that one is the reanimation. So is this one of the things where there's going to be dead enemies already preset, and you can get them to fight for you, or I can bowl someone in the head, reanimate them, and then they're fighting with me? How does that, if you can, how would that ability work?
It's something that is very cool. Like, being able to kill something, bring it back and fight for you is amazing. But it's quite hard to do in a sense of balancing. So again, it's another thing we'll look into doing, because when we're doing all the necromancy spells, we've got this simple. We're working on a just raised skeleton scale spell, which is pretty simple. Throw on the ground, skeleton comes out the ground, whatever. But when we're doing the more complicated ones, we'll look at the possibility of reanimating stuff.
Can we bring back our partner? Or is that... I mean, we're talking what?
Let it go.
That's a fair question.
They're gone.
They're gone, Diz. They're gone.
Yeah, we just have to get over it. You can hold a few more, I guess.
Okay. I'm just saying, if you can reanimate stuff, like, why can't you? I got you. I understand. I'm over it.
At this point, we need a no save playthrough from Dez to watch her cry.
Yeah, I need that. I really do.
Yo, I should stream it.
Titanic music playing in the background.
I should stream it. I'm a rage quit when he dies. I'm done.
Well, you know who to tweet your angry tweets to when you're.
Oh, okay. I mean, since we're already here, is there going to be any romance set within the game? Like,
oh, can you romance characters? Look, his face already said no. Never mind.
Ain't no kissing in my game, cowboy.
I'm just saying, if you put that in there, right? Like, maybe their compatibility could help with stats. Like, if they have a good compatibility, they fight well together, versus if they didn't have a good compatibility, right? And you could just, I'm just throwing out ideas. He said no like, romance and no kiss.
He's like, I'm gonna write that down later. I got you.
Yeah.
With this being an open world game, right? And most people, when they see open world, they're bound to go out and explore and put hundreds of hours into these types of games, right? Would you be able to top your head if someone just wants to beeline through it, right, and do minimal exploration? What are you looking at as far as maybe length of this title, if you're able to speak on that?
Ooh, that's quite tough actually. That's one thing I'm not really able to do at the moment because it's just like there's so many factors, and yeah, I don't know, because we haven't really programmed all the quests into the game yet either, so we can't even test that. So later on, I'll be able to give that information.
Oh, that's awesome. That means he's coming back later on, so he could give that. That's just a second interview. Yep. Nice. I love the way you slipped that in there. I had a question, kind of like piggybacking off of that. How big is this world?
So at the moment, it's 8 kilometers by 8 kilometers. We could shave some bits off, probably the top left of the map. We could shave some off of that, but that's the general map size right now. So I mean, for reference, I think Skyrim was 6 point something by 6 point something. So on paper, it's bigger than Skyrim, but yeah, it just depends on how quickly you explore it, how fast you're going around, stuff like that. It's just yeah.
Is there going to be a fast travel system?
Yeah. Because it's such a big world, you have to have fast travel. You can't.
Okay.
To piggyback off of that, are we looking at because of the world we're setting in, are we looking at maybe, you can ride a horse or something like that to make you go a little faster, or it's just fast travel points and then there's like a sprinting element?
Yeah, you've got horses in the game. You can go on horses, and some horses will be faster than others. So I guess you can find a better horse. And then fast traveling it's either going to be through a menu or something cool, like you get on the back of a carriage, the screen fades to black, then it goes back to.
Ooh, I like the back of the carriage idea. Write that one down. Do that one. Yeah, that was nice.
Cool.
I like that one.
just make sure the horse doesn't die, because we don't want Des to cry. No one can die.
Nobody can die in my game.
Can your horse die?
Can your horse die?
The horses are invincible at the moment.
Oh, okay.
At the
moment. Like how he snuck that in there. I love it.
Please.
Sorry, Peter.
Y'all just trying to break my heart out here.
He said Sparky over there who's got a 10% speed boost. Not gonna make it.
And also, animal companions are going to be interesting because you can get animal companions as babies as well. So you can get like a puppy and then it grows into a dog.
Oh my god!
The puppy won't be able to die, of course, because that would be horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you won't kill the puppies. All right. Okay.
We might not kill the dogs either, depending on how we feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you get cats, or is it just dogs and horses?
I mean,
I just feel like if I'm a mage and I want to be all witchy, maybe I want a cat.
True. Because we've got, I guess, functional animal companions that can fight for you. For example, a dog or a wolf.
I'm saying, have you ever owned a cat? They be putting up paws. I'm saying.
They do.
True. Or maybe the cat could like help them find stuff. I don't know.
Oh yeah, have it like search things out. I like that. All right. I'm sorry. I'm done with the cat talk. Moving on.
Didn't know Des was a cat lady. That's cool to know.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So we know this game at one point. You guys had a Kickstarter campaign, and I always like to ask people how that Kickstarter campaign went. From your experience.
It was great. It was honestly like so much better because I was quite worried about our pre-Kickstarter promo because it just seemed like it wasn't really getting anywhere. But then we reached out to the Idea Xbox team and they were so helpful to us. They put the trailer on their YouTube. They retweeted our tweets, so we just got a lot of eyes that way. And then we had a series of articles written for Game Rant, which was really helpful as well. A big publication. I always hold a special place in my heart for Game Rant because they were the first major publication that gave us a proper chance. It was a full sit down, 3-series interview, everything. It was great. And that helped with the Kickstarter as well. So like about 3 days in, we'd already made half our goals. So we were like, okay, we need to keep going.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
It was really good, and I think we reached our final goal. I want to say 2 weeks in, or maybe a week and a bit into our 4-week campaign. So after that, it was just stretch goals and raising as much funds as we could, and we ended up doubling our final goal. So that's been great, because beforehand I was a broke uni student. I still am a broke uni student, but I had no sort of funds to even hire someone to paint a piece of art for the game. Like, it was literally just what was in my bank account. So I was really just going off bare bones. So that Kickstarter needed to happen, and it went amazing. Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Seriously.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
that's what's
that's
up.
Big. That's big.
I have a question. I don't, and forgive me because I don't remember everybody who was on this event, but have you been on Black Voices in Gaming?
Not yet. No.
Oh well, we're gonna have to get you on Black Voices in Gaming. Yeah.
Seriously.
Let's talk afterwards. Definitely, I'll introduce you to some people because I'm all about the culture and about seeing us succeed. So yeah.
So on the Kickstarter, I believe is when we talked information. You're saying that you have a Q4 2022 release window. Is that still accurate?
No, that's not accurate at the moment. Unfortunately, we're looking, because at the end of the day, we don't want to put out an incomplete game. We want to make it as good as
Right.
possible. And things happen, certain situations happen, stuff got delayed. With a 4-man team, if one thing goes wrong with one person, then that's 25% of the team that's inactive. So when you've got an 80-man team, you can make up for that. When it's a 4-man team, you really can't. So we've had to postpone it, but it means that we're going to put out a very, very good demo to some festivals at some point, whether it be late this year or start of next year. It's one of those two windows. But yeah, we're going to put out a demo, chapter 1 of the game, kind of a teaser of the full experience so people can understand what's going on, and hopefully that does well.
Is it going to be, when you release it, is it going to be like episodic, like chapters, or is it going to be the whole game when you finally release it?
Oh yeah, the whole game.
Oh, nice. Okay. I had another question, but it just left my. Oh, yes. Okay. So my question is about self-publishing. So are you guys going to self-publish this game, or are you going to look for a publisher? Like, how are you going to do that?
Well, we've been going by ourselves so far. We've spoken to some publishers, a couple of investors and stuff, but it's just things are kind of moving a bit slowly at the moment. We could put ourselves out there a bit more. We'll probably do it closer to the demo or after the demo, because then we'll be able to reach the bigger publishers, for example. So I mean, I wouldn't mind a publisher. I wouldn't mind self-publishing. It would be a lot harder, but obviously you get to keep a lot more of the profits, and you get to keep your IP and all that stuff. So there's pros and cons to both. I'm open to both.
We know a girl.
We know somebody in
We
publishing.
know a girl,
Yeah.
if you decide to go. Not that she's, beautiful black woman with, curly hair, but we know.
But if you're interested, I could show your game to some people.
I mean, I wouldn't say no.
Okay. We're going to have to be friends after this. Okay.
So, a question I had. We know the game. You've announced that Steam and Xbox. I mean, you mentioned that the I at Xbox had put the trailer up for you guys, which is freaking amazing. And I've seen a couple of tweets about players' interest, or just possibly being a game you're pushing towards Game Pass. Like, how would that feel? Because the Game Pass is one of the premier gaming services there are right now. A lot of people experience games for the first time via Game Pass. What makes you want to have that push towards that service?
Well, there's 3 things. One, I'm a frequent Game Pass player, so I like the service already from a base standard. But number 2, it's like, this is our first game. It's our first big game. We want to get it out to as many people as possible. So having a Game Pass kind of option means that we can get it out to as many people as possible. And even if I'm not saying monetarily Game Pass isn't good, it probably is. Like, especially because so many developers are coming onto Game Pass, there must be a reason why they're coming on. So, but even just ignoring money or deals or anything like that, just to get people playing the game and to get streamers playing the game, it would just be great. Just for the future, it will be a lot more sustainable than having regular sales, I guess, because the more players, the more people are interested in the next games and stuff like that. So I'm all for Game Pass if we're allowed on there. So we'll have some conversations and stuff. But
yeah, we're gonna
Hear that, Xbox?
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to folks at Xbox, because this is definitely a game I think that'd be perfect for the service.
Absolutely.
And it's already been proven that games that go on Xbox also end up selling more. I know you said it's not really about the monetary gain, but that's something we definitely want to see.
We want to see you get paid.
We want to see you get paid.
Buddy.
Period.
Get your money, black man. Like we're definitely
seriously.
So you can make the next game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
of course.
Absolutely.
So is your primary focus right now just Steam and Xbox? You plan maybe in the future to go to other platforms, or what are your kind of thoughts on that? Where's your focus at with this? Where this title would be playable?
Well, yeah, it's with PlayStation, for example. I guess that's the other major platform we want to talk about. I wouldn't say no, but at the same time, like, if it makes sense to stick with Xbox and maybe that gets on Game Pass, for example, a lot of conversation needs to be had, and they don't really need to be had right now. So it's kind of all up in the air, all in the open. So I'm not closed. I'm not saying no to any platforms or saying I'm not going to be on any platforms like that. And then Switch, is another one that's kind of like, with our kind of game, I don't think it would be viable because a Switch port would take so much effort to get a game like that on the Switch. And we've had some conversations with some people that like are experts in Switch ports, and they said it would be possible, but it's just with a small team, we've got to weigh up the pros and cons, whether it's worth it, whether it's worth our time, because that would extend the deadline as well, stuff like that. There's a lot of considerations, but yeah.
As a primary Xbox gamer, I'm fine with it because I know I'm a have access to it. So whatever you guys end up deciding. Sorry, other people on other consoles. Right. I'm looking out for myself. I'm sorry.
We're being selfish here. I know, in jumping back into, like, I know we talked about the size of the world. Weapons. I know, we've been throwing out sword and shield and magic and bows. What variety of weapons are we looking at here?
So at the moment, we've got swords, one-handed swords, two-handed swords, maces, one-handed axes, two-handed axes, spears, big hammers, bows, and spells, and shields. So those 10 are the kind of different things you can mix and match. And I don't know, I don't think we plan on adding any more. We haven't got dual wielding in yet. We want to do that. So that's another thing that will be in the final game, dual wielding. And that's about it. Those are the 10 types of weapon you can expect in Stormrite, I guess.
So continuing along that line, are we going to be looking, because I seen in one of, I don't know which video it was, but I seen it was one that showed, or maybe it was on the Kickstarter, where it showed the skills, and I seen crafting. So are we going to be looking at like specialized weapons, or is it going to be like a weapon tier system, like uncommon, common, or or color based? Like, what are we looking at with the weapons?
That's actually interesting, because that's something we're working on right now. We've got a UI designer helping us with the UI, and we're thinking, do we want weapon classes? Do we want weapons? Because, like, for example, in Skyrim, every iron sword is the same as every iron sword, unless you upgrade it with different means and whatever. So that was the initial concept. Then we thought, well, actually, it would be kind of cool to have different classes of weapons. So I think we might have like a regular, refined kind of tier system to just add the extra layer of loot collection and loot finding. Because if we're gonna allow you to loot anything from anyone, then we want to.
Excuse me.
You can loot anything from anyone?
Excuse me.
That's how it is at the moment. I mean, there's a video on our TikTok showing that. But essentially, if you kill someone, you can loot whatever you want from them, as long as they're not a special character with some special armor and stuff like that. Like, if it's just they're wearing steel armor, you can loot that off them. So then we have to add that extra level of, well, we need to have tiers of stuff, because then if you grab a steel armor an hour into the game, then that's going to be great. And then what are you going to do after that? So yeah.
So, man, I need this game. Let me get back professional. But okay. I don't. I'm
He
dumbfounded.
needs to collect
So,
himself.
why you collect your stuff? I do want to ask that. So we talked about the inspiration from Skyrim, and then
Yeah.
and one of your Baron talked about it earlier with the progression of the bow and arrow system. You got the inspiration from the latest Assassin's Creed game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Are there any more titles, or any more games that you could think of that kind of gave you an inspiration as you were creating Stormrite?
Funnily enough, the melee system was really heavily inspired by Jedi Fallen Order. I liked how I just liked how
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna be a lot of dodging.
a bit of dodging, yeah.
Duck,
I haven't
duck.
finished Jedi Fallen Order because I'm so bad with finishing games. I didn't finish Elden Ring, didn't finish Fallen Order. Yeah, I just kind of just get bored. But anyway, yeah, that's another main inspiration. And I haven't played. I've played like 20 minutes of The Witcher, but I haven't played it properly. So, but I've seen videos and like you can still take inspiration from videos at the end of the day. So a lot of stuff from there has been taking inspiration. And yeah, those are the main inspirations really.
So I had a question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're perfectly fine.
My question was, like, I know you can't tell us a lot about the story, but as far as your narrative design, so you said you took a lot of inspiration also from videos from watching The Witcher. Like, how do the characters react to you? Is there a story? Do they feel kind of like lifelike, or are they just kind of like NPCs filling a space?
So a lot of them are kind of gonna feel like NPCs, like your guards, your
Okay.
random villagers and stuff like that. But the main story characters, we're trying to give them personalities
Okay.
and backstories that you can kind of understand through interacting with them. But if you're skipping through the dialogue, you're not going to understand that. So it's kind of like you've got to take the time to, let it settle and understand the lore behind everything. And in chapter 1 especially, we've got a few interesting characters that are going to be characters that follow you through the whole game. So that's going to be like the end of the demo. You're going to know or have met most of the important characters for your story. But then obviously the quest in the future, there's more interesting characters you can interact with as well. But yeah, we're trying to give them personalities.
Is there going to be voice acting?
Oh yeah, every character in the game is voice acted.
Oh, nice. I love
Nice.
that. Okay.
Did you voice any of those?
No.
Why not?
I might throw my voice in there for like a random bandit or something.
Yeah, do it. I'll be like, he sounds mad familiar.
He's all legendary bandit. Like,
It's your game. I would put my voice all up in my game.
I really would. I'd make a super character and it'd have my name and everything. Like, it just be hidden and sitting on a hill.
Baron's Cub.
I have a question because we brought up The Witcher, and I have to ask this because it's one of my things that make the back of my neck itch when I think about it. Weapon damage, please. Is that a thing in your game?
Not at the moment. I don't really understand.
Yeah, leave it that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's extra work for a feature that's going to annoy a lot of players. So it's like, just leave it out, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Thank you.
If my sword is like great at the beginning of the game, I want it to be great at the end of the game. I have to go fix it.
It's like, yeah, I got the top of the line magical sword that no one else is able to find. I have it, and I kill 3 enemies, and I have to repair it. Like, you want to drive a gamer crazy. Weapon. Absolutely.
I'm one of those weirdos that actually loves to struggle unnecessarily. So, for me, if you wanted to make an hard mode, a insane mode, like, just degrade everything.
I feel like when it's like that, you can't enjoy the story though. You're so focused on like your weapons and you're surviving. Yeah, I'd play a survival game if I wanted to do that. Please don't do that to us.
I guess the main thing is it's not a survival game; it's a story game.
Right.
But there is a middle ground. We have been thinking about like making your weapons deteriorate a little bit, but not break. So like after a lot of uses, your sword will be weaker, but you can still use it. But then you can go and repair it. So that's kind of like the middle ground we're thinking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
Look at Baron.
I guess one of the last questions that I had, because we sort of brought up your different inspirations with the Fallen Order. You talked about how you played, Elden Ring, things of that nature. Is the combat more soulish in a way, as far as how you able to get out of the way, how the the dodging, your what am I looking for?
Is it like a 1-to-1 connection, or is it
Yeah.
more of a simulated combat experience, or is it going to be my sword went over the enemy's head and it just completely whiffed and I missed it?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's how it works. So if your sword like misses the enemy's head, it's not going to contact, because
Okay.
you've got to think about your spacing and how you're attacking the enemies. But ultimately, the player starts off as a squire that is quite bad at combat. So for them to be combat rolling all around the place wouldn't make sense to the lore. So you can maybe, as you go off further in the game, learn sort of abilities like that. But from a base standard, it will just be like, not simple but interesting combat kind of thing. Yeah.
So your
It don't
character
get
starts
hit.
off. I'm sorry. If your character starts off as a squire, do you have someone training you? Because I mean, traditionally that's what it is. So is that like would that person training you basically be like a walkthrough of kind of like what you're supposed to be doing in the game? Is that kind of what that character is there for?
Yeah, so like the start of the game is the end of your training, essentially. So you're
Okay.
gonna have
Okay.
the final training part is gonna be the game's tutorials. They teach you how to use a sword and a bow, not magic. You learn that somewhere else, but you learn how to use, simple stuff. Yeah, and then you
Gotcha.
fight a human, so you can learn parrying and blocking and dodging and stuff.
I like that. I like how it's integrated right into the story, like your tutorial. It doesn't take you out of the game or out of the world. I like it. That's nice.
Yeah.
I have one more question about the world. So, are we going to be looking at enemies? Like, are they going to be just randomly spawning, or is it going to be set enemy areas? And then the levels of these. Is there levels? Like, what are we looking at? Is it just like, hey, this area is going to be full of stronger bandits, like who are just better, well equipped? Or is it going to be a situation of this is a level 30 area, you need to stay out of here until you're there? Like, what are we? And then is it going to be randomly generated? What are we looking at in that sense? I know that was a heavy question.
No, it's fine. So, like, the zoning is going to be, again, law-based. So, if we talk about how enemies work, human enemies, most humans, if you kill them, you go back to the same place after you've saved. They're dead and their loot's still there. Their body's still there. So that's how the humans work. But there are random encounters as well. So you might just get some bandits running across the street as you're walking there. Then they'll fight you. And then when you go back after you've saved, their bodies won't be there. So certain enemies will stay, certain enemies won't stay. Animals off in the forest, they don't stay. They just spawn in randomly. Some of them are set in like their dens and stuff. But like if you go to a bandit camp and clear it out, for example, everything's going to be dead for the rest of the game. So you can go back there and pick up the loot that you missed. You can go back there and do whatever you want really. But
Raise
as
the
far as
dead.
leveling, oh sorry, as far as leveling and zoning goes, it's like so the area you start in is very much controlled by the government of Redreach. So they're the government the government of Redreach, yeah. So then you're in that area, the bandits around there, stuff like that, they're just normal levels. Some will be stronger, some will be weaker, but they don't scale with your level or anything. But then as you go further north and you go into the area of the skill, then they're a strong, like they are all 6'5" and built and muscly, so like naturally they are harder enemies to fight. So if you go up there, you're gonna have a harder time. Similarly, if you go up to the snowy areas, you're going to be finding winter wyverns and stuff like that, so it's going to be harder. So the enemies don't scale with the areas, but we just have enemy areas which have harder enemies.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you
All
get
right.
any kind of warning, like as you're walking in, like because I compared it to Valheim, like the music changes, and then when you walk into a different area, it actually pops up like you're in the dark wood. So, like, is there any kind of warning, or you can wander in and then get your shit fucked up, and then you're like, oh, this is probably not the area I need to be in.
Yeah, I mean, we could do some like intense music when you go into an area that you're not ready for. But when you go into a new area, it pops up on the screen.
Okay.
You'll know
okay.
but you won't necessarily
Cool.
know that area is dangerous.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Got it. That's gonna be hard when like you kill off companions, you can't bring them back. You know what I'm saying?
She's not gonna let that go. Like she's gonna need a cheat code from you so that she can keep.
I'm not trying to lose my dog
She's
or
like,
my
I just
cat.
want the
You know what I'm
dev kit.
saying?
Like, just give me the dev build. I just want a god mode and spawn, like spawn companion.
No, but could you listen? I know you are laughing, but could you imagine spending hours building someone up and walking into the wrong space? I mean, like I know it's unforgiving, but like that's why we're gonna save a lot. But I was like, dang, one hit.
Honestly, that was a thing that I kind of put in there just for streamers because I kind of imagine a streamer builds up a relation with their companion and they die. And it's like,
you just want to see us cry live. That's what that is. That's what that is. I see you. I see you.
I'm enough making the game so I can make streamers suffer while playing.
Yes.
we need that no save dead stream. Like that has to happen.
Yep.
If your companion die save, you can.
I'll do it. Yo, when the game comes out, I'll do it. I'm a rage quit. Just know that. It'll probably be like the second episode because I'm not very good at games. I just love them. So.
Fair enough.
Quick save. Are we getting quick saves?
Well, quick. What you mean, like press a button and save?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, it would be quicker than going into the menu and saving. So I guess that makes sense.
Okay, that's
nice.
all I need.
Shortcuts.
That's all I need. Look, Sean, I'm gonna die a lot. I just know it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're gonna die a lot. I had one last question. I don't know if you guys did that, but how did you meet your team members? Like, because they're all over the world. Like, how did you guys come together? And you kind of have a common goal when you're making this game. Like, how do you get past? Like, has there been any disputes or anything about like creative differences, or have you guys just been on the same page the whole time?
Yeah, well, I get Twitter is the main way we met. Like, that's how a lot of devs network with each other. Like, people like to say Twitter is the LinkedIn of game developers. Everyone connects and meets each other and follows each other and speaks to each other through Twitter. So initially, it was a solo project from January 2020. Then it went to August 2020. It was a solo project. I released a public demo, a public test, sorry, just called Combat. And then after that, before that, I'd actually followed so Kim and Ian are the two people that I'm referencing now, but I'd followed them on Twitter and I'd seen their stuff and it was really cool. And I don't know if we'd spoken before then, but I always had in my mind I wanted to get them onto the team. And then I posted the demo and literally, I kid you not, like maybe a week or two later, both of them come and ask about, oh, are you looking for team members? So it kind of just all fell into place. You know,
that's awesome.
And it all just kind of worked. And then March 2021, we got one more team member on, Alex. He's our character designer, and he does all the monsters and stuff. And then now we've got another person on the team, Stefano. He does like rigging and kind of some of the technical art. But yeah, like as far as creative disputes go, we don't really have creative disputes. We just throw ideas into the Discord and then kind of make an idea from all our small ideas into one bigger idea. And
I like that. Teamwork makes the dream work. You know what I'm saying? Are you guys looking for more team members? Not for me, but I'm just saying, like, are you looking for more people to like help with your game just in general? Or are you kind of like, we're good with where we're at?
Yeah, we're looking for specifically environment artists and animators because we don't have an environment artist. I've been doing all the environments in the game so far, apart from one which is made by someone who's on the team before, called Tally. But we are looking for environment artists and animators, those two specifically.
Awesome. So if you guys are listening and you are into any of those things, they're looking for that. Hit them up on Twitter, which will probably have your stuff down below.
Oh yeah, everything you need to know about Mr. Kelechi will be down below. The link to the website, link to the YouTube, so you guys can catch up on those developer blogs because those, and to me, for any game you're interested in, go and check those out because you can get a lot of detail questions that people want to ask. If you just listen to the vlog, you will get the answers to those questions. So definitely check those out. Kelechi, is there anything about Stormrite if you want to, for people who are just not finding out about the game but interested in it, one thing you want to leave them with as they're anticipating this title?
I guess two things is make sure, I would say follow our Twitter because that's where all the relevant stuff comes out. The website has news, so we if you just want to get like a small digest like every month of how the game's going, on our website we've got a latest news section, and if you click that, we've got a development update that we post every month. The one for August isn't out yet. I did one for July, so I'll do one for August soon. So every month I just post about how the game's going, what we've been doing, the new art, the new lore, and stuff like that. And if there's one thing that I could ask of you, it would be, if you can, if you have a Steam account, please wish us on Steam, because that helps so much with visibility. It just helps immensely. Like, even if you're wishlisting with the intention of not buying it on Steam, it just helps us so much. And yeah, it's just one click. It's pretty easy, but yeah.
Helps with the algorithm. Then Steam is like, hey, this game is up and coming. It seems really popular. People are liking it. Let's push it. So yeah.
So one thing that we hope is after all the big guns get their hands on you and interview a million times, that we definitely get you to come back and talk with us, either closer to release or after release. I think that'd be great for us to kind of go back and talk about some of the things we talked about today and kind of compare them on how the game has changed between now and then. That'd be freaking amazing. If you have the time, if you thought we were cool, I think we're
I'm pretty cool. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'll definitely come back here in the future. Probably after the demo would make sense, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Then we can play it a little bit and then tell you our thoughts.
And then we can have Dead's companion die over and over and over again.
Over and over and over. I already know not to get attached now. So
nice. Listen, everything about Kelechi is in the description down below. If you guys are watching on our website, be sure to click the link. If you guys are listening on any of the platforms, iTunes, Spotify, make sure you guys head over to the YouTube or head over to the website, Lv1Gaming.com, to make sure you guys get the links. Again, wish list on Steam. Help this brother out. We want to make sure the more people, the better, get their eyes on this game. Kelechi, again, thank you so much for taking time out with us. We really appreciate it. We cannot wait to talk to you again. Dez and Baron, thank you guys for coming out and rocking with me as usual. With that said, thank you guys for rocking out with us. You guys get the game news at Lv1Gaming.com. Have a great one. We're out.